Hello and welcome. Today's trip is going to take us to the cathedral town of Ely. Just ahead you can see its most distinct feature, the cathedral. The cathedral was founded in 672 by Saint Etheldreda. It was then devastated by the Vikings before being refounded as a Benedictine monastery in 970. It was then rebuilt in the stone structure which you can see today by the Normans and their subsequent medieval successors. Up ahead you can see the original entrance to the cathedral. This is the 14th century Walpole Gate, which is now part of the local public school. Ely was a very prosperous city. This was partly due to the eels from which the town gets its name, which were a valuable food source, but it was in the middle of the fens, and so crafts from rushes and other forms of fen plant life brought in income to the town. The cathedral, which rises above the town, is popularly known as the Ship of the Fens. The town centre is very quaint, with the cake shop which you just saw in the previous clip, which me and my girlfriend liked. Right next to the cathedral is the herb garden. This garden was made by the Benedictine monks in the time of the monastery to provide poultices, lozenges, and other forms of cure for the sick and the ill. Although some of the medicines probably had limited efficacy, there wasn't really anything better out there at the time. After the screen there, you can see the Lady Chapel, which was built in the 1300s as an extension to the main cathedral. The cathedral itself was constructed over a number of years and restored extensively in the 19th century by the architect George Gilbert Scott. We're just coming up to the main entrance to the cathedral, which is a large and impressive structure here with the western tower. On the west side of the tower you can see a slope. This is where the original side of the tower collapsed. At the centre of the cathedral is this large and unique octagonal tower, on the top of which a lantern is suspended. This tower dates from the 1300s, when the original Norman tower collapsed and was replaced by a unique structure in English cathedral history. Cathedral Square is dominated by buildings to do with the cathedral, such as this one, where I believe several members of the cathedral hierarchy lived. Further down here, on the left, we have a very interesting building. This is Oliver Cromwell's house. Oliver Cromwell was Lord Protector of England during the only time which was a republic in the 1600s. Oliver Cromwell's new model army had overthrown and beaten the king, Charles I, during the English Civil War, and the king was subsequently executed. Cromwell's rule was quite harsh, and he even, on the Parliament at one point, banned Christmas as being decadent and Catholic. Away from the city centre is the river. There are several rivers in Ely. There's the Cam, which flows to Cambridge, and the Ouse, which flows out to the sea. These rivers were the home of the famous eels which give the city its name, and a statue dedicated to them is right here in the park in the middle of the town. I'm heading back towards the centre of town now to visit my favourite place, the fudge shop. I'm now heading back into the cathedral. As I mentioned earlier, the cathedral was extensively restored during the Victorian era under George Gilbert Scott, and you can see from the ceiling what are Victorian approximations of medieval paintings, which would have been destroyed during the Reformation, have now been restored. This extends even up to the famous octagonal tower up there, which you can see has been repainted. The tower itself has a lantern which shines out over the fans. Moving from here to the Lady Chapel, the statue at the end of the Virgin Mary was a relatively modern reconstruction and was not popular with locals when it was introduced around the year 2000. The rest of the chapel is very magnificent. Finally, the final look at that glorious tower. Now arrived at my next destination, which is Cambridge. This is a world-famous university town. The town itself is quite large. Here I am on one of the extensive playing fields, looking at some 19th century houses on the edge. Cambridge, of course, is most famous for its university, which dates back to the medieval times, but it also has several large amenities such as the Fitzwilliam Museum. The museum, along with its counterpart, the Ashmolean in Oxford, are amongst the best of the UK's regional museums. They have extensive collections of items from around the world, such as this collection of pottery from Iran from the early 1100s. And this extensive collection of Iznik tiles from Ottoman Turkey. This work was done before printing was widely available, and the quality is just staggering. The Fitzwilliam Museum also has an extensive collection of arms and armour from the medieval period, including these early arquebuses, along with some medieval altarpieces like this one from the 1500s, heavily influenced by the Byzantines. The bling Victorian entrance hall designed by Edward Barry was in the Palladian style, and in this corner we have a more modern edition, a portrait of the then Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. I'm now heading down a side street towards one of the most famous of all the Cambridge colleges. On the right you can see St Catherine's College, where some of my friends from uni went, but this is not our destination. Instead, up ahead you can see the King's College. This is the college where several of the most famous intellectuals, such as the economist John Maynard Keynes and the famous developer of the computer Alan Turing, studied. The college is also famous for its medieval chapel, which you can see on the right, which has the largest bomb-vaulted ceiling in the world. It's time to end our tour of Cambridge and Ely, here in the heart of Cambridge. Up there you can see the Church of St Mary's the Greater, and I'm now heading off in search of some more adventures. See you soon.